Newsmaker Sunday with Fox 10's John Hook.
Thanks for joining us on Newsmaker Sunday. After 24 years, there's a new sheriff in town, and it's not Joe Arpaio, it's Paul Penzone. But before Joe Arpaio leaves this office that he's occupied for 3 decades, he talked to me at length about why he lost the election, what his future holds, and does that future hold a place in a Trump administration. Here's my conversation over the next 30 minutes with Joe Arpaio. Give me a sense how you're doing after the election. I see your office, and maybe we can take a wide shot. You're boxed up. You're pretty much packed up. Today's the last day, right?
Actually, tomorrow at midnight.
Are you going to be here tomorrow?
Every minute counts.
Are you going to be here tomorrow?
I don't have to be here, but I kind of joking. After I lost, I allowed my opponent and his team to come into my office, talk to all my people, use these sheriffs, like even when I beat the former assistant police chief of Phoenix, I was allowed to come in the day I took office. But I did this because I want the new administration get a heads up and be able to continue the job and protect the people. So, and I had nothing to hide. So that's why
he's working. Paul Penzone is working a couple of floors down from you right now with his people.
I don't know if he's there now. He has an office, but his staff.
But you've invited him in. Yeah,
his staff has been here for 30 days, talking to all my people, deciding who they want to keep and who they don't want to keep.
How much time have you spent speaking with Paul Penzone? How much have you guys talked about transition?
He came to see me for about 15 minutes.
How did that conversation go?
Well, it's okay, cordial. I'm not going to get into our conversations. I did make one statement. I'm very proud of my 24 years, longest serving sheriff in the history of Maricopa County. I'm proud of my people. I'm proud of our policies. This is a great organization. I'm not going to interfere with the new sheriff's office. They can do what they want. On the other hand, I do have a little pride, and if people start zeroing in on this sheriff, I'm just going to have to probably respond.
You're 84 years old. Is there any relief that you don't have to come to this office every day?
No. Why should there be?
You would have, obviously you wanted to win a 7th term, you didn't. But is there some relief that you don't have to fight the battle anymore?
I like fighting battles.
We're going to get to that.
And quite frankly, I can say it now. I was going to say it probably next week if I was still the sheriff, that I was going to sign up to run again, like I did in 2012, if you recall. The next day I went down and signed up that I'm running again, and I did.
You were going to run for an 8th term?
If I was elected, yes.
We put out a question on Facebook, how will you remember Sheriff Joe Arpaio? And I wanted to read you a couple of these. Florence said, I will remember him as the toughest sheriff in the whole USA. We need more just like him. Then criminals would think twice about going back to jail. Who wants to wear pink underwear and live in tents, especially during the summer? Hope you enjoy retirement, Sheriff Joe. You will be missed by many.
Well, thank you. It was Florence?
Florence.
Let me tell you something. John, you may not think it, but I think you do. I do have a heart, according to my doctor.
No, I know that. Even your detractors who meet you, once they meet you, many of them say, the guy's charming, he's a funny guy, he's a nice guy, he's got a good heart.
Well, I'm pretty proud of that, America's toughest sheriff. And by the way, I didn't give myself. It was the media and everybody else. I'll take it. I'd rather be America's toughest sheriff than America's meanest sheriff or America's nicest sheriff. I was never out to win a popularity contest and just go along with the programs. And when I ran many, many years ago, I made 3 promises. Put up Tent City, build up the Posse, get tough on crime.
There was one more.
In the one
you were only going to run for
yeah.
1 term.
Okay, and I'm going to explain that because I made a stupid mistake, okay? And I say it when I'm the sheriff. When I run for office, I say it every day. And I'll tell you my mistake. I said the sheriff should be appointed and not elected. Okay, well, if that's the case, then you're not going to run again if you want to be appointed. That was my big mistake.
Do you risk becoming just another career politician? Everything you ran against, everything you rail against, you say, I'm not a politician. And then you become a politician. This is a political job. You're elected. You're a politician by definition. So when you go for a 7th term, there will be some who say, you're no different than these other guys who run over and over and over, and it becomes about them.
Well, I just explained the mistake I made when I said appointed. It should be elected. I said that. I said it for 24 years. You should elect the top law enforcement officer. So yes, if you're running for office, I presume you're a politician. Now, I always joke. I say I'm probably the best politician in history because everybody thinks I'm not a politician.
Let me read what Jason Rose, the PR guru, said. He called you a PR genius, a freak of political nature.
Maybe you'll hire me.
Do you need a job? How about retirement? How about just...
I'm not retiring.
I know you don't play golf. You don't have any hobbies, really. Is there anything else you would want to do with your time than be kind of in the political world?
Yeah, I'm not retiring. I have some, some people interested. You think I'm going to retire and look at the fountain in Fountain Hills? No way.
Some people would love to have that free time.
That's them. I'm me. I've been a fighter, a worker my whole life. Why would I change now?
Let me read another one from our How Do You Remember Sheriff Joe? Chris says, as a guy who started out great, then deteriorated into believing that he himself was above the law, proof that power corrupts.
Well, I don't think the people, some of them don't know the true story. I always laugh because now they're saying, oh, he was a good sheriff to begin with. Now look what happened. Well, first of all, I did get reelected 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. If I'm so bad, the people still wanted me. Now this time around, there are certain forces against me.
George Soros.
Well, his $3 million he spent it, I guess, in, 30 days? But it wasn't just that.
Do you remember that I called you the day of the election? We talked on the phone, and I wished you well, and I wanted to get a sense of where your head was at the day of the election. Do you remember that conversation?
Now, was that the primary where I won by 40%?
No. This was the general election, and you said, what do you think?
Yeah, but let me go back.
Okay.
I won the primary with 4 people by 40%, the Republican primary. That's pretty big.
Okay, so I call you on Election Day to see kind of where you're at and how you're feeling about the race. And you said, what do you think? And I said, I think you got a tough road to hoe. I think it's going to be tough. And you said, but everybody I run into loves me, and they're going to vote for me.
That's true.
Were you shocked on election night when you lost?
No, I wasn't shocked. Come on, I've been the campaign manager, honorary manager for Bush and Romney, Rick Perry. So I've been in that high level, associating with people running for president, and I've seen the politics. So I wasn't shocked. I was somewhat disappointed because I still have many plans I had in mind the next 4 years, which I won't be able to accomplish.
There's an irony. All these guys you just mentioned were guys who came to Tent City, kissed the ring of the sheriff of Maricopa County, and lost. This time around, you probably gave more spring to Donald Trump than anybody early on. You may be the catalyst of his becoming the president. You started it. in large measure, this immigration deal. But the guy who finally wins, who comes to see you and needs your endorsement, he wins, but you lose. How does that happen?
Well, I endorsed Bush. He won.
That's true. You did endorse Bush.
I endorsed Romney. He lost.
He lost.
So it's kind of 50-50, but the point is...
but Dole lost. All these other guys lost.
Dole, I don't think I endorsed. He visited. I had Dole visit the tents, and Phil Graham, the other Graham.
Yeah, they all came. They all came. Like moths to the
Wilson,
flame.
McCain, and they all lost. I tried to get Hillary here this recent election to visit the tents. I didn't get her, but I got Sanders' wife, and he lost too. So.
Let me read you one more of our How Do You Remember Sheriff Joe from our Facebook. Gustavo says, as the good sheriff who didn't know when to call it quits, he should have quit while he was ahead. As the biggest gangster to ever step foot in the sheriff's office, my respect. That's from Gustavo.
Oh, when he said gangster, I hope he's not talking about the mafia. He's calling me a gangster.
I think he's calling you a badass, for a lack of a better word.
That's a compliment. What do you want him? I want me to say what a great guy you are.
But what about that part where he said he didn't know when to call it quits? Have you thought about that? That maybe, like Jim Brown, Cleveland Browns, you leave when you're on top.
I don't know. I can go back to history. Boxers. Let's talk about the ball player, Jordan. You do know many people retire, but they came back for a last shot. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. They all do. Most of them do.
So what's this guy trying to say?
He's trying to say he would have liked to have seen you quit when you were on top, which may be the sentiment of a lot of folks out there. Well, that maybe you just stayed a little too long.
No, I don't think that was the reason. I think there's a lot of forces against me that just piled up.
Started with pink underwear, didn't it?
Not really. That came about 4 years
And you
after.
did it because the inmates were stealing your underwear, so you thought if I make it pink, they won't steal it, and it actually made it even more of a novelty item. Then they really wanted it.
Well, when you sell millions of pairs of pink underwear, I don't. The Posse does. I just sign it because the sales go up when the sheriff signs it. So, but why don't we talk where the money goes? The money goes to the Youth Assistance Foundation. All that money takes care of the poor kids.
So there's a method to the madness.
I'm going to tell you, anybody, they can blame me. I know one newspaper here, you know, they make fun of my programs. There isn't a program that I can't give you a rationale, a logical rationale of why we do it.
Tent City.
Yeah.
Is there really any need for Tent City?
Of course there is. When I ran, I said I'm going to put up tents in the desert, Korean War tents. I did it August 2, 1993.
Right.
We had a little jail overcrowding problem. But that's not the reason. They're all convicted. Even if people complain that we have enough room somewhere else, what's wrong with having a tent city to send a message out, tough love or whatever? Even that would be worth it.
Chain gangs.
Yes.
Is it necessary?
Of course. Want the rationale for that?
Sure.
I started the male chain gang about 14 years ago. I'm an equal opportunity incarcerator, so I put the women on a chain gang. I'm pretty proud of the fact there's never been a female chain gang hooked together. Do you think that I put the chain gang in the desert to chop rocks? I can put them right in front of your Channel 10 or the governor's office. I don't hide the chain gang. I have them right on Scottsdale Road.
Right,
why do I do that? Because when the parent in their Cadillac and Johnny's in the back seat, I hope the parents say, you do something wrong, Johnny, you're going to be on that chain gang. Everybody's going to see you in your black and white stripes. Don't you ever violate the law. And I hope Johnny never forgets that image.
Fair enough. One of the best things I think you did, the mall posse. You had people ripping people off in the parking lot during the Christmas holidays, and you started the mall posse.
And I finished it 2 days ago, did a press release. Nobody prints it, of course, because it's a nice program. I started that in 1993 because there was the year before, a lot of hijackings and violence at the malls. So when I took office, mobilized the posse, and here we are a few days ago, another successful operation.
Since you took office in '93, the total is $142 million that you've cost taxpayers. It's averaged more than $6 million in lawsuits and legal expenses for every year you've been in office. Now, I know you say that's a cost of doing business, but would you agree that some voters, even Republicans, fiscal conservatives who would have supported you in the past, got to a point where they thought, you know what, I like him, but he's costing us too much money?
Well, the message is you can't get the word out. You want to take 24 years, divide that with 130, if that's the real
142 million.
If that's the real figure, because money of that comes under the health, okay? And much of that, people, the county agrees to settle, because when we do go to court, we got a high record of winning those lawsuits, okay? But divide that. You go any police department and see what they pay in 24 years, and they don't even run jails. So why doesn't people do their homework? And the media, of course, always builds this up, the 130 million, and the public doesn't understand. So that's the frustration sometimes I have had through my 24 years, is trying to get the right story out.
Tell me about how illegal immigration came onto your radar. Really right around 2005, 2006. Why did it become an issue for you?
Because I happen to be a law enforcement official. And I like to say I enforce all the laws, and I think my record shows that. They may be controversial sometimes. And in 2007, I had 150 of my officers trained and sworn in by federal ICE. Right. And we had the authority to act as immigration officers.
287G.
Until they took that away. I think Napolitano took that away.
You took on county officials, Mary Rose Wilcox, Don Stapley, Sandra Dowling. People were arrested. They sued you later. Why did you get in all these fights with all these people?
Well, I think when information comes to you, being an elected constitutional sheriff, that maybe you should take on some fights that nobody else will because of politics or whatever. And I don't do it alone. I work with a county attorney at that time. I have my own opinion about that case. I'm not going to talk about it, but we did have information. And
which one are we speaking of?
The ones you mentioned. And once again, of course, the county doles out all the money.
Yeah,
every time you get
sued over it.
Geez, all I have to do as a private citizen now is sue the county, and we'll settle for. I'm kind of joking on that, but that's what happened.
Do you look back and say, I picked some fights I probably shouldn't have bothered with?
No.
These runs for governor through the years, it became a running joke between the two of us. Because every time you'd announce, I'd say, you don't want that job. Or you'd say, I'm thinking about it. You wouldn't announce. You never would announce. You just said, I'm thinking about it. And I thought, this guy keeps playing this card. He is never going to run for governor because, as you said, given your situation, that would have been a demotion.
Yeah, well, and I could have won, but you were right.
Why did you keep doing it?
Because people wanted me to run. You think I didn't think about it? I didn't do it just to get my name out there.
You really seriously thought about it?
Yeah.
You trade kind of demonizing inmates to demonizing immigrants.
No way. No way. In fact, you've been through the tents or the jails. I'd let everybody through. Now, am I that stupid that I would let the whole world, Amnesty International, you name it, come to my tents and talk to the inmates and say whatever they want to say?
Right.
Am I that stupid?
No, you're very open with your policy.
But I think I have a little common sense too. If I had a guy there and you're whipping him with a whip, I don't think I would let the world come in and take pictures of that.
No, and they would pull us aside and say,
this place. I don't do that.
They'd pull us aside and they'd say, this place is brutal.
Who?
Inmates. They hated it.
Come on.
Tent City, they hated it.
Thank you.
But that's deterrent. That's what that's what you wanted.
And I'll tell you what, I could pick up 50% of the vote if they could vote.
Why did you become so focused like a laser beam on this birth certificate issue? I mean, we talked about this before. If one parent is a U.S. citizen and his mother, there's no disputing this, his mother was born in Kansas, she's a Kansan, she's an American. If one of the parents is an American, the child is good to go.
Why are we talking about that?
Well, you tell me, why are we talking about this?
Hold on a minute, John, please. Please. I started this, first of all, 250 people, my constituents, who are my bosses, came to me and asked me, Sheriff, you're our last hope. Can you open up the investigation on a false government document? The name happened to be Obama. Okay? If it was you, it'd be the same, except you would be in jail.
But why spend time on it and even your posse money on it if the end result is it doesn't change anything? He's still going to be the president.
It has nothing to do with the president. It's a forged government document, a fraudulent document that somebody should be investigating.
You've told me many times, when I'm out of office, you'll forget about me the next day.
Yeah.
I know how this works.
Exactly.
You've told me that time and time again.
And there's a reason for doing that. It's telling you that. I don't care. I did what I felt was right. And if people forget me after, that's okay. I leave office. One thing I'm going to do is try to stop this war on cops. And Donald Trump had a lot of conversations with him.
What would you tell Paul Penzone? What advice would you give him?
Well, I'm not going to tell him anything because I feel that this is going to be his organization. If he wants to talk to me, I'm always willing to talk, but we'll see what happens. So I think I leave a legacy. I hate the word legacy, but I think I leave a legacy that put this office on a map around the world. Nobody knew the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. They sure know this office everywhere in the world. They know who this sheriff is. So I'm going out into the sunset. I don't ride a horse, so I guess I got to get on my helicopter. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm not disappearing.
I think it's safe to say that we will never see another one like him. Joe Arpaio is a one of a kind. We wish him the best. Thanks for joining us this week on Newsmaker Sunday.